I'm Theron Ramacharaka, and the human crystal. Excerpts from the chapter called The Human Crystal, in a book called Spiritual Nutrition and the Rainbow Diet by Gabriel Cousens, Cousens, MD, published by the Cassandra Press, San Rafael, California. I don't have the date. This is a photocopy that I made from just that chapter a long time ago. I have no idea where I got this really, except that I know what book it's from, but I don't have the publication date. Chapter 10, The Human Crystal, just some excerpts about this, and then a few implications that I will bring up after I read this to you. Our bodies are a series of synchronous interacting crystal structures, solid and liquid crystals alike, form an overall energy pattern for the total body. Our bone structure has long been recognized as a solid crystal structure with piezoelectric properties. A piezoelectric effect is the creation of an electromagnetic field, an EMF, pulse, when a crystalline structure is physically stressed or pushed out of its normal shape. Our skeletal bone structure is the only proven solid crystal structure in the body. Solid, that is. The main forces which create pulsed piezoelectric EMFs, or electromagnetic fields, in bone are the anti-gravity muscles, the cardiovascular system, voluntary muscles, and impact with the environment. And what can be deduced is that pulsing EMFs affect bone function, and that by varying the EMF wave, pulse, and intensity, the EMF pattern and the types of bone intracellular and extracellular response will vary. Another type of electric or electromagnetic field response is also found in bone structure, called streaming potentials. An electrical potential is created as a result of the electrostatic interaction of the electrically charged field or fluids, that is, moving past the fixed charge in the crystalline bone structure. EMF fields in bone may also be produced as a result of bone's semiconductor or solid-state properties, which occur when there is a change in pressure on the bone structure. And now, liquid crystal structures. A liquid crystal is technically defined as having form, liquid properties, stored information, and a measurable electromagnetic field. From our perspective, it also has an SOEF, which is reflected in its stored information and EMF. Now, what is an SOEF? Well, it means, it's a naval term. Senior officer, Eastern Fleet. But wait, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about subtle organizing energy field. SOEF, subtle organizing energy field. From our perspective, it also has an SOEF, or subtle organizing energy field, which is reflected in its stored information and EMF. On a cellular level, all cells and cell membranes are considered liquid crystals. Bodily fluids also have crystal qualities. Identical crystal resonant fields emanated by micronutrients are attracted to larger resonant fields emanated by the organism's larger crystalline and liquid crystalline patterns. The idea is that of the overall living system as a complex of synchronistic, oscillating crystalline structures. And in a healthy state, the body's structures are a multi-leveled series of interacting systems and subsystems that resonate harmoniously. And from this perspective, Disease occurs when this synchronicity is thrown into a disharmony. Appropriate crystal balancing of the total system through the chakras or of subsystems with a particular organ or gland can be very beneficial for healing this dissynchronicity. The human organism as a healing vibratory transmitter. Human thought vibratory power. Thoughts are vibratory energy. When one is able to tune to the Soef pattern with the mind, the subtle organizing energy field with the mind, it is possible to send resonant vibratory thought form energy to re-energize and reorganize the dissipated Soef system. Thought form energy. If you know about thought forms, very good. If you don't, you'll find information about it elsewhere here on my channel. Or you can look it up for yourself elsewhere. The human organism and mind can be understood as crystal transmitters. When we become a clear channel for, say, the divine force of unconditional love, it comes through us in a way analogous to a gem or crystal being activated by our thought forms. Summarizing the chapter, there are 8 points. Number 1, the key to understanding the assimilation of energy into our physical structure is through the awareness of our body as a series of synchronous interacting crystal structures. Number 2, our bone structure is our body's major solid crystal form. A particular EMF is generated from the crystalline bone structure. Its type depends on its generating source, piezoelectric, streaming potentials, or solid-state activity. Its energy intensity, its pulse characteristic, and the combination of all these interactions within the bone structure. Number 3, the other major crystalline-like system in the body consists of the liquid crystal structures which exist in every cell membrane, organ, gland, nerve, and muscle system. Number 4, bodily fluids. Because of the ions within them and the ability of water to become structured, also have crystalline-like qualities. Number 5, an explanation of how micronutrients reach their correct sites in the body is that they are drawn by their vibrating EMFs to the appropriate resonating crystalline sites in the system. Number 6, realizing the crystalline nature of the human body gives us a physical basis for understanding the efficacy of human thought vibrations, gems, crystals, flower essences, gem elixirs, and homeopathy in healing. Number 7, by increasing the subtle organizing energy field, energy, of the crystalline structure of a person, we create a renewed and healthy field which reorganizes the person on a physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual vibratory level. And number 8, we are indeed precious gems. Now, some considerations. Having said all that, consider all of the EMF influences bombarding our bodies and minds from the environment. I mean, just consider it for a moment. Cell phones, all those antennas that we see on the cell phone antenna towers, so-called cell phone antenna towers, all of those transmitting antennas, clearly overdone in quantity for some low amplitude cell phones in the area. And consider all the rest. I can't name them all. I don't even know them all. But just think of the implications with respect to their impact, their influence, the alterations and the manipulations that they put upon us, and what they will do, altering all that is spoken about in these excerpts that I just shared with you. And if we have the mental capacity to affect our SOEF, then imagine what environmental influences upon our SOEF have on our mental vibrations in turn. Just one last little note. You may have heard the notion that some aspects of our world are, just using the term here, to kind of like put in one package into one term, a host of different connotations, under some kind of demonic control, and you think that you are not influenced by it, or that you are not somehow, to some extent, to some degree, under this influence, perhaps think again. I suggest looking a little bit more into how you can use thought vibration and thought forms for your personal integrity and sovereignty. At the physical level, the energetic level, the astral emotional level, the mental level, the spiritual level, and so forth. I'm going to furthermore suggest in closing here that if you believe that you are not so influenced, then perhaps that is an indication that you are. I'm Theron Ramacharaka. Be well.